Alright, so next thing we're going to do is get our knuckle assembly, or spindle in the rear, which still has our output shafts for our rear half shafts, our CV half shafts connected to it, as well as our brake rotor and our brake line, or e-brake line. So I'm going to have Justin help me quick get this e-brake line going through, and kind of need to figure out a way to get this thing bolted up in the proper spot. So let's do that first. And then now, you can do me a favor and get that bolt and start to get that bolt through. Something like that.
Maybe. I can't tell. It's kind of.
So it is a bolt. So go grab a hammer. Actually, get that bolt out. Needs to be wedged in there. All right, where's the hammer? Couple love taps here. And it probably has to come up a little bit. Try that again. The other side has like a bushing that's not able to move. So I think that one's just gotta be set up right from the get-go. Okay, so right now.
Alright, now you just gotta go pretty much straight up.
Okay. So go get a screwdriver, put it in there and push it up because something's resisting it. I think one of these upper control arms probably. Alright, so we're just trying to line up this lower control arm. I got one of the uppers in. Other one's a little off. Yeah, it needs to go up a little bit more.
That looks
Better?
better, yeah. Just a little bit.
Oh, okay, so the control arms, let's push them back. Okay, something like that should be good. Is that completely off?
No, it's not. Still there on the right towards you.
I think it needs to come out. So, it's just a little bit different an angle. Yeah, that side's looking good. How's this side? So screwdriver.
Okay.
Oh, I think we're perfect now. Okay. Yep.
Now.
Okay. So because we just started adjusting that hammer. Okay, so hopefully. Like that. Okay. Go. So it just sits on a weird angle. So when you get it on this side, there's like a bushing there that wants to pull it on a different angle. And then on this side, it's fixed and they get pinched in between these two brackets on the lower control arm. So you're kind of fighting to keep this one up. And the second you get this one right, the one that's fixed goes down. But we got all the way through. Just gonna put a nut on it quick. Gonna put this upper control arm in place now. And move this to get it in. All right, so both our uppers are in. Just gonna put that in. So now, I think our biggest issue is somehow getting down enough to get this strut back into place, because that is just really off. I'm not sure how to compress this strut easily, so I'm gonna try to get a pry bar and see if we can get it up a little bit. All right, so we're on the driver's side now. We're gonna put the other hub assembly on, or spindle assembly on first, mostly because the shock is pushing down so hard. I can't really, get it back into position. So I think what we're gonna do is add all the weight back on here, lower the subframe until I can line up the shock to where it's gonna go into the spindle. And then we're gonna jack it up and then re-torque everything. It just seems like the easiest way. I don't want to have to compress the strut or something inside the car, and I don't want to, lower that lower control arm to the point that it can just be bolted up that way, just because I don't want to screw with the alignment. There is also an eccentric on the back side of the lower control arm. Had it been just bolts, then I would do it, but I really don't want to mess with the alignment on this thing any more than we already have. So we're going to just try that route out. If that doesn't work out for us, obviously you'll see it, and then we'll have to go the route of lowering the lower control arm. But first, let's get this thing in. So Justin, just help me get this brake line in.
Pretty close on this side.
Okay, and I'm pretty close to the other side. This one's going in way easier. Get the nut off, put the bolt through.
It's not ready yet. It needs to be
So this one's gonna be way looser for some reason, so.
It just, if you bring it like.
I really don't have the same amount of control on this one as I did on the other one. The other one had tension, so this one doesn't. So, it just
There's only like a half inch this way for you. Yup.
Okay, put it in. On this side. Good. Give me that nut. Let's get this. See, I have that set of uppers disconnected here. I wonder if that, no, that's not gonna make a difference. So, all right. So let me get the uppers connected. Let me make sure that we're not getting this ABS line. So just put this over here for now. Take the nuts off the uppers. Okay. And get these guys in place. All right. And we're good. All right, and this somehow got on the wrong side of that axle. All right. So that's that. I wonder if the output shaft can just kind of hang out here. I should put a bolt in them just to hold it in while we do this. I think I'm gonna just stick a couple bolts in for the output shafts, just to make sure that they don't get damaged or anything when I go to lower the whole subframe. So I'm just gonna stick two kind of by hand in at like, you know, opposite, like 3 and 6 o'clock on both of them, just so they're held in. And then we're gonna actually put the jack back under jack stands and just lower the subframe until we can line up the shocks with the spindles. So let's do that now. All right, so I'm setting up the jack stands just over on the rear, and the reason I'm doing this is because I'm gonna lower the subframe that we put back up now with the spindles and everything on them. It just seems easier to do it this way rather than putting it all together on the ground and then getting it back in. So if you choose to do it that way, that might be smarter for your application, but for us, I didn't really want to deal with that many parts all put together. So we did torque them, so I didn't think about that. So we're gonna loosen them up and then we're just gonna have to torque them again. So first things first, I'm gonna get these set up. And then I'm gonna lower the lift just until they touch. So right around there. Just wanna make sure they both touch. That one's close enough. Then I'm gonna take our fork back, put it back underneath the rear end. I did just put a couple bolts in the output shafts into the diff just so they're not in my way. And we're going to try to grab the diff from the front so that we can balance it out. Alright, Justin, can you actually come jack that while I line it up? Mm-hmm. We're in a good spot. Right there. Stop. One more. One more. Half one. Perfect. All right, so now we're gonna loosen up all the bolts. These are the big, or the 21 millimeter bolts. Just gonna use my impact. We're gonna take them out. One. Two. I'm gonna lower the lift just a little bit more. Okay. 3. Okay, and that's the 4th. Now we're just gonna slowly lift the car up until our shocks get to the point where we can put the bolts through. So looking all right there. This side of the way. All right. I'm like almost lined up over here, so this actually was not a bad idea. This side might need a little bit more, so let me see if I can get that shock in here. Okay, I'm gonna get the shock in here on this side, because I already can do it. So just if you want to grab that camera and come see what happened. You can see our shock lines up perfectly. This is the distance off our mount over here. So I don't know what that had to go through to get to that point. And then we should be able to just kind of get this guy in. We should have a little play here. So as long as that's good. I think this one was also what? I think a 21 as well. So I'm gonna grab a bolt quick, or a ratchet, and get that in as well. All right, so I just have a 21mm half-inch ratchet with a swivel head, and that's what I'm gonna get back here. So just gonna tighten it up. Long bolt. I'm getting pretty decent turns at that too. Okay. Just leave it like that for now. Our floor is a little unlevel, so I just have to jack up a little bit more to get the other side lined up. So Justin, just go over there. Let me know when that thing lines up nicely. Stop. Yep. Connected on the shock on the other side already, so I don't want to move it too much. They can push it out. Oh, cool. Yeah, cool. So let's get this one in now. Just gonna get this in here. This side might take a little longer just because I don't really have that much room. Okay. Something right around there. And now what we're gonna do is lower the car back down so that the spring compresses and our subframe mounts go right back on the pins so we can get the bolts back in. So let's do that now. And I think just like that, we're good. So we're gonna take our bolts, make sure they line up, back in. Get them in as far as you can by hand. Luckily, there's not a ton of resistance going on here. I'm gonna go back over to the driver's side and do the same thing we just did here. So torquing these under load is gonna be nearly impossible to do actually in the underneath the car with the wheels on. I'm starting to see, because first of all, I gotta torque this nut and I don't even know how I'm gonna get a wrench on there to get it to the spec. So that I'm probably just gonna have to do by feel. The one in the back, I might have access to the nut. I should be able to get access to that one. That's not an eccentric. So I think what we're gonna do is finish everything up, and then I think I'm gonna do this with the jack. We're gonna measure, probably put the wheels back on the car, measure the center line of the hub with the wheel on, and then make a mark or something, maybe some tape on the car, show us where that center line is. We're gonna take the wheels back off, jack the car up so that center line matches up, then we're gonna go back and torque those. And that's gonna be the best way to kind of just make sure that we have that spec as close to accurate as possible. Because again, there's probably a special torque wrench for that, just one special tool to do that. And then the one in the rear, it's just, I think, like 110 Newton meters or something like that. That's nothing too crazy. We should be able to get that one done. So the one with the eccentric, it's gonna need an alignment anyway, so actually it shouldn't be over torqued. So I'm gonna have to feel that one as I go. I'm not gonna just send it all the way, because someone's gonna be adjusting that soon. But for now, Justin, can you hand me that impact? I'm just gonna knock these guys in quick. You can go release that jack. I'm gonna go do the other side. Now we're gonna lift the car back up. And just like that, our shocks are attached. So now let's move on to the next thing, which I think at this point is probably gonna be the axles. So let's get the axles in. All right, so now we're going to retorque our 4 subframe bolts to 163 Newton meters. Okay, it's 1. 2. I'm gonna go to the other side. Do the other 2. 3. This one seems a little more loose than the rest. So let's see if I can get a couple big swings on it. There we go. All right, so now the subframe is back in with the shocks. Everything looks good there. So next thing I'm gonna try to do is actually torque the shocks to spec. All right, so we're gonna do the lower strut bolt. Weirdly enough, this is just a bolt, and in ISTA, it says replace nut on this. So I don't know why it says replace nut, since it's only a bolt, there is no nut. But regardless, the torque spec is 127 Newton meters. So, gotta get it on. And there we go, we're torqued to spec. You can see it moves. Okay, we're gonna go to the other side, do the exact same thing. We put this steering wheel back up as well. Same deal over here, we're just gonna move this out of the way. Get this guy on, and get to 127 Newton meters. All right, that's it for that. Now let's go do our axle bolts. All right, so now, since we're not taking the subframe off again, we can take this level sensor and put the connector back on. I think the clip didn't make it out of removal, so I might have to throw something around. Actually, I think it did. Oh, yeah, we were all right. So then I'm gonna grab the parking brake cable, and we're gonna hook that back onto where it goes back here. So actually, just make sure it's fully connected on the inside here. I'm gonna put the light there. We go. It's a tiny bit so it doesn't interfere with the axle, so just make sure that you get it on good. And the reason I'm doing all this stuff first is because I actually want to put the brake caliper back on so that I can put a screwdriver in between and lock the axle bolts in place while I go to torque them. So I'm gonna put this caliper back on first, so let's go do that now. All right, so we can get our caliper down. We're actually gonna be removing this after because we're gonna be doing brake hoses and pads and rotors. But as to not really cause any issues with the braking system in terms of having to go and bleed everything like the ABS pump, I'm probably gonna just have Justin sit inside the car, pump the brakes, and hold them as I change the line so that we don't invite any air back in and have a crazy bleed sequence. So to avoid any issues then, I'm just gonna put this back together and we'll come back to it. So it's a little bit more work, but in the long run, I think we're gonna benefit from it. It's a little bit more work now, but it saves us the work of maybe having to bleed the living hell out of this car. And sometimes, I'm sure if you guys work on cars, you know that bleeding a car can take forever. Just put that caliper back on. Gonna get our sliders and poke them through. And once the sliders are in, I'm just gonna bolt them up. I'm not gonna put the bracket back on the front, doesn't matter, and then I'm not gonna put the covers back on because I'm gonna obviously be taking these back off. So just gonna get these tight. I'm gonna leave that ABS line out just for now, just because I don't have the new pads in and I want to definitely rod them the right way. So I might just tie it up to something. So that's this side. Let's go do the driver's side quick, and then we can start putting these axle bolts in. All right, so now I'm gonna disconnect these guys. But I'm just gonna let that hang. It's not a heavy caliper. Put this back there. Grab this guy. Snap it back into here. And put that on. Cool. Okay, so now we can go and get that parking brake cable up here before we forget. Same as the other side. So now that that's up, I can go grab all my hardware for the axles, and we're gonna get that all put together now. All right, so first I'm going to get this out of the way. So if you got another clip here that this thing's gonna go into, hitting the camera with it. Okay, and then you got a clip up here. So that's out of our way. Parking brake cable's gonna work perfect. And now what we're gonna do is start getting some of these in. So I do obviously have the ones that I just kind of put in for alignment, but those aren't in properly, so we're gonna be taking them out. So I have my bolt and this little shim that keeps them together. So we're gonna put 2 in. And just clean them up a little bit. These were bad, I'd replace them. I think the manual recommends you replace them, but nothing's gonna happen by using these again and torquing them to spec. Well, they're never like thread locked or anything like that, so. That's 2. Gonna rotate. We're gonna go this way. So we can get that one out. Next 2, I'm gonna put them back the same way so you can see that the heads of the bolts went this way. Not for any reason, I think they are identical, no matter which way you put them, but just gonna put them back the way you took them apart. This side was the side that was leaking for so long, so that's why it looks all nice and shiny and clean, because once we took the debris off it, it's spotless. So the other side's gonna be more like worn in because it wasn't leaking that bad and actually got to corrode. The oil kept this side from corroding. And it should just kind of go in easily. Everything's good. So it's a good thing that they are. It means we're doing everything right over here. Car's very forgiving to us. I haven't ran into any significant problems. Knock on cast iron. Oh, and then actually I'm gonna go clean these bolt heads off because I just took these out. So let me just go clean these and we'll get right back to it. All right, next we're gonna put these in. All right, and before I go and actually torque these to spec, which isn't gonna be much more than they're already at, I'm gonna go do the driver's side just so we can do it all at once. I'm gonna start on this side with the parking brake cable. That bracket first, and then this one, and then we can kind of put it back to wherever we feel is comfortable. So that's done. Next we're going to do this side. Gotta get it past that boot. And the other side was a little more oiled up, so it went a little easier. I'm missing one, so I gotta go find them quick. Let's get this in. Let me grab that. All right, so now I can go get the torque spec and actually start hooking these up. All right, so right now I'm just taking a punch and a chisel from my punch set and just putting them in between the fins of the rotor so I can lock the axles in place while I do this. So we're going to tighten these to 135 Newton meters, and I'm just using a swivel. I know it's not the greatest for torquing, but actually I don't need a swivel. I'll be able to do this with a short extension, so let me grab that guy. All right, so we're gonna do 135 Newton meters with this extension. So right there, and with this, we're gonna go with the paint marker. Look that it's been torqued, and move on to the next one. So in this case, I think I can remove one of them. I should be able to, actually, we'll go like this. So this might get a little annoying because I'm probably gonna have to do this for all 6. Yeah, all 6 on each side, so all 12. Just moving it one by one. Definitely want to make sure these are torqued up to the proper spec. Okay. Number 3. Doing it with 3/8 is just a little hard, but I don't think I have the room for a 1/2 inch. Okay, so 3 more on this side. Okay, 2 more. Okay. Last one on this side. All right. So that's the first 6. Now we have to do the next 6. So let's go do those next. All right, so now we are on the passenger side. I actually don't need the driver's side one in to torque this side, so it makes it a lot easier. This one will be much easier to get done. So that's 1. This is 2. Number 3. Number 4. Okay, so now that we have our inner, I don't know why I thought there was 5. Gotta do one more. So what I was gonna say there is now that we have our inner ones done, so I'm just gonna do the 6th one. We just wanna do the 2 nuts on the outside. So we didn't actually end up removing those for any reason, but we still did remove the nuts. So we're gonna replace them, not reuse the old ones. I figured I could separate the axles outside of the car, but there was really no reason to, so we left it. Okay, and that's our 6th one marked. All right, so all 12 are done. Let's go do those outside too. All right, so we're gonna put our new axle nut on. Get at least started up. Okay. Like that. Go to the other side quick. Alright, so we're just taking these, putting it back in the fins here. Actually, I might put it in backwards. No, I can't. Okay. We're gonna put it in here this time. torquing this to 300 newton meters, which is actually too much to do like that. So I'm gonna go here. Okay. So I was already torqued to that with the gun, so this is just double checking. So what I can do now is go and knock these little corners in with a hammer and a chisel. All right, so we're gonna start with this one up top. And normally I just take a chisel, go right to the flat part, do a few whacks, and then go flat. That sounds good. A lot harder to do from underneath. A bit more. All right, let's come on top. Probably is a better way to do this. That's just the way I do it. We got a paint marker here, and I'm just gonna mark across this. All right, so now onto the passenger side. 300 newton meters. Probably already got it with the tech, but just gonna double check. Everything's fine. And turn the torque wrench off. Get into here and knock these in. Like that. Right there's probably best. Okay. Paint marker. Just to mark that this is where it was. Obviously, the little bends I just put in help it stay there. But yeah, so that's it for axles. Next, we're gonna reinstall the drive shaft as well as the heat shields and the parking brake cables back into the cabin.